Burkina Faso's junta leader, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sandaogo Damiba, has been sworn in as president on Wednesday, less than a month after mutinous soldiers seized control of the West African nation in a coup. The ceremony, not open to the general public, was held at the Constitutional Court. Lieutenant Colonel Damiba seized power, promising to secure the country from growing violence linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State group fighters that have killed thousands and displaced more than 1.5 million people. In a televised ceremony on Wednesday, Lieutenant Colonel Damiba swore an oath before the country's top constitutional body to preserve, respect, uphold and defend the Constitution, the nation's laws, and a fundamental act of key decisions approved by the junta. Lieutenant Colonel Damiba was dressed in camouflage uniform and a red beret and wore a sash in the colors of Burkina Faso's national flag. The press, but no foreign representatives, attended the ceremony in a small room at the offices of the Constitutional Council. On January 24th, Damiba, who is 41 years, led disgruntled officers to force out President Roch-Marc Kabore following public anger over his handling of a bloody jihadist insurgency. Last week, the Constitutional Council formally determined that Lieutenant Colonel Damiba was President, Head of State and Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. The move confirmed an announcement by the military on January 31st that Lieutenant Colonel Damiba will be appointed to those roles for a transitional period and be assisted by two vice presidents. Since taking control, Lieutenant Colonel Damiba has met with security forces, civil society, diplomats and politicians, but has not set a timetable for a return to democracy, something the international community has said must be done as soon as possible. The First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, has donated 50,000 Ghana cedis to the Apiate Support Fund to help with the reconstruction and rehabilitation of the Apiate community in the Western region, following last month's destruction of the community from an explosion. The First Lady said she has already made an earlier donation of some relief items to the victims of Apiate and that the 50,000 cedis was a top-up. She said the incident is a huge tragedy that has troubled all Ghanaians, and as a senior citizen of Ghana and a mother full of empathy for her children, it is only right that she also adds her contribution to help Apiate. The First Lady also encouraged all Ghanaians to do what they can to help restore the livelihoods of the people of Apiate. The chairperson of the fund, Reverend Dr. Joyce Ayi, on behalf of the committee, expressed gratitude to the First Lady for her gesture. She said the First Lady has proven that she is indeed a mother of the nation, adding that she knows her contribution will go beyond material things, considering her soft spot for women and children. The fund was set up by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources following an explosion which occurred on Thursday, January 20th, 2022, when a truck carrying explosives from Maxam's Idua-Prems plant in Takwa to Chirano Gold Mines Limited was involved in an accident leading to the death of 13 people and the destruction of the entire Apiate community in the Pristia-Huni Valley municipality. Family members of the late Honorable Ishmael Ashite have paid a series of courtesy calls on some eminent citizens of the state, including the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, former President John Ejikun Kufuor, and the Office of the Speaker of Parliament, ahead of the final funeral rites of the immediate past Greater Accra Regional Minister, which is scheduled to take place on the 7th of March 2022 in Tama in the Greater Accra region. They also paid a visit to the Greater Accra Regional Coordination Council to meet Henry Quartey, the Greater Accra Regional Minister. Some of the members of the entourage were the former Mayor of Accra and member of the Council of State, Ni Ajiri Blankson, former Ambassador to Canada and former Attorney General, Honorable Ayikwe Otu, the Mayor of Tema, Yohane Amashite, former Member of Parliament for Kankwe North, Fusaini Isa, Board Chair of TDC Limited, Kofi Brako, former Member of Parliament for Ablekuma Central, Ebenezer Nate, and some family members of the late Greater Accra Regional Minister. The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, in his interaction with the delegation said the late Greater Accra Regional Minister performed creditably well for government and the New Patriotic Party and assured the family of etching his place in the annals of the party. Former President John Ejekum Kufuor said the late Ishmael Ashitey was very committed and very loyal to Ghana and the NPP long before the party came into power, and assured them of his presence at the funeral to pay his last respects to the former regional minister.
Flag in there also. Now, no, flag bearer or regional capital, a national capital of Greater Accra. Says so at chairman. I say in Abe Trashia, Yama Franca and so Korea, you be Trashia and it's Korea. The Munam Cock I say, your chairman will be on the Swanyan baby because no so far rather richer. Was it say walk moon? I'm interested in for the mom go on this idea who they are straight to me near the shaman man. And it yena so we are madam for your good bishop whom the asana trust ambition no say benya power near the
The first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Joseph Osei-Owusu, who received a delegation to Parliament and represented both the majority and minority of the House, said the demise of Ishmael Ashitey was very saddening and expressed their condolences to the family, pledging Parliament's presence and support during the final funeral rites. The funeral committee chairman, Ni Ajiri Blankson, for his part, said they will do all in their capacity to provide the late Ishmael Ashitey a befitting farewell to highlight his legacy for the New Patriotic Party and Ghana as a whole. The leadership of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, has agreed in principle to call off the over 1 month strike after a meeting with the Parliamentary Committee on Education. Mr. Peter Nochu-Kotoi, the ranking member of the Education Committee of Parliament, disclosed this on the floor of Parliament on Thursday and said they would announce their final decision after consultation with their members. The high-level meeting with the Committee on Education had UTAG leadership, the Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Mr. Ignatius Bafo-Ewa, as well as officials of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission.
Has just come out with a meeting with UTAG, the Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, as well as the Minister for Education. And we have reached some level of a consensus. So I will wish that we tone down the debate or the discussion on this this statement, so that we don't aggravate the situation as we saw it this morning, and we have come to a consensus on this matter. This does not generate into an agreement, because if negotiations have not been completed, and you as the leader of a government delegation, you start giving out figures, I think those who are agitating for better conditions of service may not be happy with this. So I will wish that the minister just inform us or give us the assurance that he's leading the government delegation and that they were looking into things rather than beginning to give us figures and whatnot, and the other party is not here to also argue for themselves.
It may be recalled that the Labour Division of the Accra High Court on Tuesday granted an interlocutory injunction against the industrial action by UTAG after an appeal by the National Labour Commission. The National Labour Commission went to court after attempts to have the association call off the strike failed. The court, on 2 occasions, ordered both parties to adopt an out-of-court settlement, but the engagements ended without any agreements. With the latest order, it was expected that UTAG would immediately return to the classroom, but it did not. To that end, the meeting with the Committee on Education became the last undertaking to resolve the deadlock between the factions, which, according to Nochu-Kotoi, had been amicably resolved. The Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Mr. Ignatius Bafo-Ewa, also told Parliament that government was willing to sit down with UTAG to deliberate on the issues.
As the ranking member of Education rightly said, we are just entering the chamber after having a long meeting with all the stakeholders on this UTAG issue. So I was surprised when I came onto the floor and heard a statement on the same issue. Mr. Speaker, as the lead negotiator on behalf of government, I have been very reluctant in making public pronouncements whenever we are negotiating issues within the public space, because whatever you say on air, eventually you will come and sit down with the parties and talk. If you have made your point already known on air, what do you come back to sit and deliberate on again? But Mr. Speaker, this is a house of records. So if the Hansard captures certain concerns which are not corrected, perhaps it will be taken to be fact. Throughout the statement, my honorable colleague referred to stance of UTAG on the issues, but not even on a single occasion did I hear him mentioning the government side. I thought perhaps by preparing such a statement, he will have also inquired from the government side efforts that have been made and results coming out of that record. Because engagement with UTAG started way back in 2017, when UTAG made a representation to government that they wanted the book and research allowance that is given to university teachers be reviewed. As of that time, Mr. Speaker, university lecturers were taking 500 Ghana cedis as research allowance per annum. After negotiations, this figure was increased from 500 Ghana cedis to 1,500 Ghana cedis, and subsequently has been increased from 1,500 Ghana cedis to the equivalent of 1,600 USD.
The substantive motion is still in court and is expected to be heard on Tuesday, February 22nd this year. UTAG on Monday, January 10th, embarked on industrial action over what members described as worsening conditions of service. Meanwhile, lecturers at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, UPSA, will resume lectures on Monday, February 21st, 2022, following the court's injunction on UTAG. The resumption of lectures was in a statement signed by Dr. Koyo Enim Wright, Registrar of the University. The statement urged all Level 100 undergraduate and diploma students to report to the university's hostel residence on Sunday to prepare for lectures on Monday. It stated that the first 6 weeks of the semester will be in-person teaching, while the latter part will be virtual teaching.